Hello again and welcome back to the Book of Brett and another episode of Manic Movie Reviews. Before we get into this video, I do want to just encourage anybody that has not subscribed to the channel yet to consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm truly grateful for every single one of my subscribers and people that continue watching, so please be sure to hit the subscribe button. Today we are going to be reviewing 2021's There's Someone in Your House, starring Sidney Park and Theodore Polarin, I believe is his name. Yes. Theodore Polarin is his name, as well as a cast of other young actors who actually do a really good job. But the movie is about a killer going around a small Nebraska town and murdering students while also putting their deepest, darkest secrets out there for everybody to see. And this is a movie that at the time of filming is sitting at number 2 on the trending list for Netflix. I've mentioned it in the past that I really think Netflix's algorithm for trending movies is bullshit because it basically tracks if you watched it for 2 minutes and then it basically considers that good enough to put it in the trending list depending on how often people watch a movie for, or no, I believe it was 5 minutes. I believe it's 5 minutes. And my argument there has always been and will continue to be, I've seen credits run for 5 minutes. It's not a good indicator of if a movie should be considered trending. But this one I really think actually deserves to be there. It's a really fun ride. It's really gory. It's done kind of in the nature of Scream as far as it being about a bunch of high school students, and the outfit, the masks, the long hunting knife, they all just kind of gave me Scream vibes. What this movie does differently than what Scream did and what I think a lot of slasher movies do is it really plants itself in the whole PC culture that I think we find ourselves living in, but I think more accurately what high schoolers find themselves living in on a day-to-day basis. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I actually mean it in a good way, because so often we get movies that try to jump on the PC bandwagon and it comes off feeling pandering, it feels disingenuous, it just doesn't feel like the studio gave a shit. Everything it does as far as touching on the whole LGBTQ plus community, touching on racism, touching on bigotry, I really feel like it felt natural when they were touching on these things. And that's how I think that movies should address these things, because they are important things, they are movements, and they are stances that deserve merit and deserve to be heard. But so often movies just don't get it right, in my opinion. I feel like for the most part, There's Someone in Your House really gets it right, because it doesn't feel like it's shoved in your face. It's just, that's these characters, it's who these characters are, and it all seems to fit. I think is the best way of putting it. It all seems to fit. But moving away from that, let's talk about some of the elements of this that make it a movie. The acting, first and foremost, is done really, really well. The writing is done really well. We've got a cast of characters here that I actually enjoyed watching. But all of the actors in this movie, I thought, did a really good job. Like, it is a slasher movie, and there are some tropes in it, and I feel like a lot of times movies like this can get lost in just going for the slasher thing and kind of pushing other things to the side, like acting, cinematography, lighting, and they just kind of go all in on what makes a slasher, which is gory violence with a blade. It is a really fun ride, and I think another thing that this movie does really well, it really does seem to tell well the story of what it's like to be a teenager or a high schooler in this day and age, because such a big part of this movie is your secrets aren't safe. We live in a day and age now where anything about anybody can pretty much be brought up. There's things from everybody's past that can pretty much be brought up in one way or another, and that's even more so when you've got a generation of people that's living online and voluntarily putting all of these things out there into the world. And I think this movie did a really good job of showing why it's so dangerous and showing the dangers of online bullying as well as in-person bullying, and showing the dangers of just airing your life out online. And so this movie is a slasher movie, And it's a fun slasher movie. I had a lot of fun watching this. But it's also a slasher movie with something to say. And that's what I think I really, really appreciated so much about this movie, was that it was a slasher movie. It did have gore. It did have intense moments. But at the same time, it did more than that, I think. There are a couple things that I had an issue with, like when the killer comes into McConaughey's house and he's about to set her on fire, and then a car pulls up. He could have very easily have just taken it and still dropped it on her and set her on fire. And so I thought that part was a little weak, but not enough, again, not enough to ruin it for me or anything like that. And then the ending. The ending is very, very on the nose with white privilege. But again, this is also something that needs to be discussed and needs to be talked about. So even if I didn't like the delivery or how they put it out there, I still have to respect the fact that they were bringing it up and they're making a movie that actually has something to say other than it's Halloween, here's some violence. And so all in all, I would definitely recommend going out and checking out There's Someone in Your House. I was expecting it to be a home invasion movie, which I wasn't too thrilled about, because if you watch my review I just did on The Strangers, I'm not the biggest fan of home invasion horror, but this is definitely not a home invasion horror, even though the title would make it sound like it is. This is a tried and true slasher film. But that is going to do it for me today, guys. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave some comments down below. Movie suggestions are something that I'm always keeping an eye out for and that I will always go and do a review of. In fact, if I don't already have a video ready to come out by the time somebody leaves me a suggestion, chances are that will be my next video. So like I said, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down if you want to. Leave some comments, and I will see you guys next time.